Welcome back again to the Imaginary Gallery. It's TJ, your host, and this evening's discussion is regarding, as they say, psychopaths in the workplace, as I say, toxic people in the workplace. Evidently, after the publication of this book by Paul Babiak and Robert D. Hare, there was publicity about their work on psychopaths, or people with antisocial personality disorder. They've received many questions from the public about how to handle these people in the workplace. And they say that most of the questions have to do with handling a psychopathic boss. But they've also had complaints about psychopathic peers, subordinates, and co-workers. And they are saying, without a lot more information than we typically receive, it's impossible to determine whether the individual described is psychopathic. And they tell you to recall that psychopathy refers to a potent mix of personality traits and behavioral patterns, and that a proper assessment is made only by qualified professionals. So they're strongly advising you, readers, to be very careful about your use of the term, particularly in discussions with others. However, if you are working with an individual who appears to have psychopathic features, there are some suggestions, and that's what this video is all about. That it's important to understand the psychopaths derail your career by attacking the two most important aspects of your reputation: your competence and your loyalty. Competence is how well you do your job or the tasks assigned to you. It's the basic reason you have a job in the first place. While your ability to perform a task suits their purpose, that is, you are considered a pawn or patron in support of their psychopathic fiction, psychopaths will continue to charm and groom you to support them. They may use unorthodox tactics, as they tend to have good leadership skills, but you have value to them, albeit temporary, so your competence does not pose a direct threat. Loyalty is an intangible trait that's often measured in terms of how supportive you are of the company, and conversely, how supportive the company is of its employees. Companies begin to build loyalty during recruitment and orientation by describing the successes the company has achieved and the opportunities afforded those who wish to build a career with the company. The company maintains loyalty by increasing feelings of company pride, such as when they celebrate a major success, feelings of personal belongingness through things like team achievement awards and company picnics, opportunities for personal and professional growth, such as through company-sponsored training programs and challenging assignments, or career advancement as in salary increases, promotions, and achievement bonuses. For the employee's part, loyalty to the company is demonstrated through productivity, quality output, regular attendance, adherence to policies and procedures, and an above and beyond effort on behalf of the work unit and company and so forth. Now, once you're no longer of use to the psychopath, or you pose a threat to him or her, he or she will discard you and attempt to overtly and covertly neutralize you in the eyes of upper management, coworkers, or anyone who has an influence. If a psychopath sees you as too competitive, which means a rival, or senses any hint of disloyalty on your part, you may be attacked. The attacks involve disparaging the perceptions of your competence and loyalty in the eyes of others in the company, particularly members of upper management. Recall that perceptions of you by those in power, which is your reputation, are based on the impressions you make. However, if you do not have ready access to those in power, your reputation, in their eyes, can only be based on reports from others, primarily your boss. If your boss is psychopath, then the odds are good that he or she has been spreading negative information about you. Industrial psychopaths, be they manipulators, bullies, or puppet masters, operate best in secret. So your reputation can be destroyed without your even being aware that anyone has doubts about your competence and loyalty. This puts you at a clear disadvantage. Should you try to complain about your psychopathic coworker or boss, you may very likely find that the waters have been poisoned against you. And every effort you make to remedy the situation may be seen as confirmation of the problem employee reputation that you now have. Once you've lost your credibility, you are essentially defenseless against the monster. Short of taking legal action, which in many cases is very costly, it's an uphill battle. It's therefore incumbent on you that you take preventative measures to assure that your competence and loyalty are never questioned. So we go into the list, a new list of things by these authors. Rule number 1. As we've stated before, do not label anyone a psychopath or any of the other names. And they state, as noted earlier, it is not useful to label someone a psychopath. In fact, to label your boss as such may make the situation worse for you than it already is. Even if you've reviewed all the traits of the psychopath and believe that your boss or coworker demonstrates them, your company may not be in a position to take your side. Companies are very pragmatic and respond to information about behaviors relevant to the work at hand rather than subjective feelings about another person. Rule number 2. Build and maintain relationships. One psychopathic technique is to create conflict among staff members. Claiming that one person said something negative or derogatory about another is a common approach. The success of this approach relies on the tendency for individuals to avoid confronting others who they think have spoken ill of them. This divide and control technique increases tension and distrust among individuals, effectively shutting down communication and providing cover for the psychopath fool. A psychopathic boss can use this technique to control and isolate employees from each other and to hide his or her abusive behavior. The best defense is to take every opportunity to interact with others on the job and develop a reputation as friendly, talented, competent, and loyal. Seek out opportunities to interact with members of upper management. While they may not routinely visit your workplace, their occasional appearances will allow them brief chances to mingle with employees. Unfortunately, many such meetings end up like elementary school dances. Nobody asks anybody to dance. Or bitch sessions. Someone starts complaining and others join in. Well, you can take advantage of these occasional meetings by coming prepared with a serious question that's not embarrassing, confrontational, or self-serving. Ask a question about the business, the competition, or a new product line. The more maturity and practical understanding of business you demonstrate by your question, the more favorably the executives will remember you. In addition, you should always be prepared with what is referred to in business language as an elevator speech to use with any member of higher management you happen to meet. Assume you have 30 seconds in an elevator alone with an executive. Luckily, people don't often talk to each other in an elevator. Take this opportunity to introduce yourself to the executive, which shows initiative and a willingness to interact with people above you, and give your one-sentence talk. Tell him or her what you do. Comment on the business, the latest annual report, or the new office construction. And thank the executive for something, even if it's just for visiting the site. Here is an example of a real elevator speech. Hi, Mr. Johnson. I'm John Smith. I work in the lab on the ABC project. I really liked what you said in the latest annual report about the investment the company's making. Thanks. We appreciate it and your support for the project. You'll be surprised at the positive reaction you receive. If you are asked questions, give brief, fact-based answers. Many executives rely on the impromptu input from employees for information they cannot get elsewhere. As this is your first meeting, always make it positive and supportive. Avoid anything that may be embarrassing to you, the company, or the executive, but be sincere. And if your executive is like many we have known, he or she will remember your name and where you work. This can only help your career. It communicates competence and loyalty to someone who really matters. Of course, this is also precisely what a psychopath would do. The difference is that the psychopath's intent is malevolent, while yours is to genuinely get along and fit in. So they go to rule number 3. Understand options your company may offer. If you've not read your company policy manual, then please do. Many companies distribute these copies to their staff and may even offer orientation programs to answer questions. Be familiar with your obligations to the company, as well as any policies or procedures in place to handle complaints and issues. For example, many American companies have policies against sexual harassment. Some have anti-bullying provisions that you should also note. Do not be afraid to ask questions about policies and procedures you do not understand. And then there's rule number 4. Avoid being labeled a complainer. Nobody likes someone who's always complaining. Reserve your complaints for something that is important to you. Learn how to pick your battles, and more important, learn how to rephrase your issues positively. A reputation as a complainer hurts your long-term credibility and plays nicely into the hands of the psychopath, who merely has to reinforce what others already think about you.
Look, honey, I don't know how you found me, but my lifestyle is much different now than it was when we were together. So,
don't even worry about it. It doesn't concern you. Just like when I met you. I had to do an entire makeover. I just never can decide what I want to look like.
oh, give me a break. Yes, when you and I dated, I tried to come up with cute little names for your, little noodle.
Well, now I'm thinking of names for clams. I'm thinking of names for pussy willow type things, so I'm over all that worm stuff. I've moved on. I suggest you do the same.
Would you please give me a break? When you and I dated, yes, I liked your parts, but you got male parts. I'm now into lady parts. So, I don't talk about sausages, I talk about canoes. Certainly you can understand. Give me a break.
I am so distraught that you could be so selfish to not even think about how it might be for me, a straight woman, to become a lesbian. Your little brain probably can't comprehend that, but I can't believe you're so insensitive to my new lifestyle. I'm glad we're not together, because it's clear you have no sensitivity. Oh.